Welcome to HD Coins World. What if the penny sitting in your pocket right now was worth a fortune? The truth is, some wheat pennies are so rare and valuable they've sold for thousands at auction, and you could have one without even knowing it. In this video, we reveal the top 5 rarest wheat pennies that could make you rich overnight, plus expert tips on exactly what to look for and where to find them. So watch closely until the very end. Number 1. Imagine finding a coin in your pocket change that looks normal at first glance, but then you notice something odd about the date. The numbers look doubled, bold, and almost like they are jumping off the coin. This is not just any coin, this is one of the most famous errors in American history, the 1955 wheat penny with no mint mark. Collectors call it the king of Lincoln cents, and its story will blow your mind. Stay with me, because you are about to discover why this coin is so rare, how it happened, and how much it has sold for at major auctions, with prices that will leave you speechless. The 1955 no-mint mark wheat penny was struck in Philadelphia, and it became legendary because of one unforgettable mistake at the U.S. Mint. During production, a misaligned die created a dramatic doubled die obverse, where the entire date and the word Liberty are doubled so strongly they can be seen without a magnifying glass. This was not a tiny error hidden in details. This was bold and shocking, and thousands of these error coins accidentally slipped into circulation, mainly around the Boston and New England area. Ordinary people in the 1950s discovered them in pocket change, and within days, word spread like wildfire that a rare penny was floating around. The unique features of this coin are unmistakable. If you hold a 1955 cent and look closely, you will see the doubled numbers in the date, with the number 5 looking stretched and ghosted. The word Liberty on the left side of the coin also shows dramatic doubling, making it look as if two images were printed one on top of another. Even the famous motto, "In God We Trust," shows heavy doubling across the top. Collectors love this error because it is visible instantly, without any special equipment, and that makes it one of the most desirable coins in all of U.S. coinage history. But the real magic of this coin is in its rarity and condition. While thousands were released into circulation, most were quickly found and heavily spent by people who did not realize their value at the time. That means most surviving examples today are worn and show heavy circulation marks. The ones in high grade, especially those graded mint state by professional grading services, are incredibly rare and in extremely high demand. Collectors and investors are constantly chasing them, and auction houses often see fierce bidding wars for the best preserved examples. The market value of the 1955 no-mint mark wheat penny is jaw-dropping. In circulated condition, this coin can still fetch hundreds to even thousands of dollars depending on appeal. But the real treasures are in the top-graded examples. At a Heritage Auctions event in January 2019, one stunning mint state 65 red example sold for more than $114,000, an astonishing price for a single penny. Even lower mint state grades like MS63 or MS64 regularly sell for tens of thousands of dollars, making this one of the most valuable error coins in the entire Lincoln cent series. So what should collectors look for when hunting for this legendary penny? The key is the dramatic doubling on the date and lettering on the obverse. There are many minor varieties and even counterfeits, but the true 1955 doubled die is obvious to the naked eye. If you come across a 1955 penny that shows crisp doubling, do not hesitate. Protect it immediately, and have it authenticated by a top grading company like PCGS or NGC. Condition is everything in determining value, so coins with original red luster and fewer marks are worth exponentially more than dark or damaged pieces. For today's collectors, the 1955 wheat penny represents more than just a coin. It is a piece of American history, a mistake turned into a masterpiece, and one of the most famous numismatic treasures ever created. Its demand has only grown stronger over time, and owning one is a dream for nearly every Lincoln cent collector. If you are serious about the hobby, always keep an eye out in old coin collections, estate sales, and inherited boxes of pennies, because you never know when this legendary coin might appear. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most valuable wheat pennies ever struck, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more real auction price discoveries, and drop a comment below if you have ever seen or owned a rare double-die penny. Your support helps us bring more coin hunting knowledge to the world, and who knows, the next rare treasure might be sitting in your very own change. Number 2. Imagine holding a penny in your hand that looks silver, not copper. At first glance, you might think it's just an ordinary steel cent from 1943. But what if I told you it was actually a 1944 with an S mint mark, and worth more than most luxury cars? This is not just a coin, it is one of the holy grails of American numismatics, the 1944 S steel wheat penny. Stay with me, because this coin's story, its shocking rarity, and the jaw-dropping prices it has sold for at auction will leave you absolutely stunned. The history behind this coin takes us back to World War II. In 1943, the U.S. Mint produced pennies in zinc-coated steel to save copper for the war effort. But in 1944, the Mint switched back to copper using recycled shell casings from the battlefield. Somehow, a few leftover steel planchets from 1943 were fed into the presses at the San Francisco Mint, and the result was the famous 1944 S steel wheat penny, an accident that created one of the most desirable era coins in U.S. history. The unique feature of this legendary rarity is obvious the moment you see it. Instead of the normal reddish-brown copper color, the coin shines with a gray-silver appearance, just like the 1943 steel cent. On the obverse, the date 1944 and the small S mint mark under it confirm its year and origin, while the reverse still carries the familiar wheat ears framing the words, 1 cent. But make no mistake, this coin is not supposed to exist in steel, and that is what makes it a world-class rarity that collectors dream about. Rarity is the key word here. Experts estimate that only 2 to 3 dozen genuine 1944 S steel cents are known to exist in the entire world. Imagine that, out of millions of pennies struck in San Francisco in 1944, only a tiny handful were accidentally made in steel, and every single one is now priceless to collectors. This is not just rare, this is ultra-rare, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery coin, and now the most exciting part, the current market value. In August 2008, Heritage Auctions sold a spectacular Mint State 66 graded 1944 S steel cent for an incredible $373,750. In August 2021, another high-grade example crossed the block and brought more than $372,000. These prices placed the 1944 S steel cent among the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold, and the demand for them shows no signs of slowing down. Imagine turning a 1-cent coin into nearly $400,000. That is the magic of this ultra-rare treasure. So what should you look for when hunting for this rarity? First, check the date. If your penny shows 1944 with an S mint mark and the coin looks silver instead of copper, you may have struck gold in the world of coins. But be careful, because counterfeits exist. Some people plate copper coins to make them appear steel. The true 1944 S steel cent will be magnetic, just like the 1943 steel pennies. And it should always be authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC before you can know its true value. For collectors, this coin is the ultimate prize in the Lincoln Cent series. It combines history, mystery, and unimaginable value into a single small piece of metal. Few coins capture the imagination like the 1944 S steel penny, and owning one would instantly place you in the highest ranks of collectors worldwide. Its story continues to fascinate numismatists and investors alike, and every time one appears at auction, the entire coin world takes notice. Thank you so much for watching this video about the ultra-rare and most valuable 1944 S steel wheat penny. If you enjoyed learning about this legendary rarity, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more real auction price discoveries, and drop a comment if you've ever checked your collection for a silver-colored 1944 penny. Your support helps us continue the hunt for America's rarest coins, and who knows, the next big discovery could be in your very own change. Number 3. Imagine picking up an old copper wheat penny and suddenly realizing you might be holding one of the most valuable coins of the entire World War II era. It looks ordinary at first glance, but if it carries the 1944 date and the D mint mark, you could be in for a surprise worth thousands of dollars. Some of these coins are just collectible copper wheat pennies, but a rare era version struck in steel has sold for over $200,000 at auction. Today, we're uncovering the mystery, the history, and the market value of the 1944 D wheat penny. Back in 1943, the U.S. Mint switched from copper to steel for pennies to save copper for the war effort. That experiment only lasted 1 year because people hated the look and feel of the steel cent, and by 1944, copper was back in production. Denver struck hundreds of millions of copper wheat pennies in 1944, so most are common, but here's the twist. A few leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally got struck in 1944, creating one of the rarest and most legendary era coins ever made. That's the 1944 D steel cent, a holy grail for collectors. Now, let's separate the two versions. The copper 1944 D wheat penny is the one most people will find in old change jars or inherited collections. They are not rare, but their value climbs sharply in higher grades. A well-circulated example might bring a few dollars, but a mint state gem with blazing red luster can bring several $100s. In fact, a copper 1944 D wheat penny graded MS67 red by PCGS sold for more than $3,000 at heritage auctions. That proves collectors are willing to pay big money for condition and quality. But the real jaw-dropper is the 1944 D steel penny. Only a handful exist, and they look silver-colored instead of copper. They're magnetic too, which makes them easy to test if you suspect you have one. Auction records are stunning. In August 2010, Heritage Auctions sold one for $115,000, and in January 2021 Stack's Bowers sold another high-grade example for $220,000. That's a life-changing amount of money for a single penny, so here's the tip for every collector watching. First, always check the date and mint mark. If you find a 1944 D, test it with a magnet. If it sticks, you may have the ultra-rare steel cent. If it doesn't, don't be disappointed, because a high-grade copper version can still be worth thousands of dollars to the right buyer. Either way, get your coin authenticated and graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC to know exactly what you have. Collectors today are chasing both versions with passion. The copper coins are highly demanded in gem condition, while the steel era is on another level entirely, with world record prices and intense bidding wars whenever one surfaces at auction. Whether you hold the common copper or the ultra-rare steel, you are still part of one of the most fascinating stories in U.S. coinage history. The 1944 D wheat penny is more than just a coin, it's a piece of American history. It connects to the wartime years, it tells the story of mistakes that became treasures, and it proves that even a single cent can be worth a fortune. Always check your pennies, because you never know when you might be holding a copper beauty worth thousands, or the legendary steel rarity worth hundreds of thousands. Thanks a lot for watching and being part of this coin hunting adventure. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoy learning the real auction prices. Leave a comment if you've ever found a rare wheat penny or have questions, and subscribe so you don't miss the next hidden treasure we reveal. Number 4. Imagine this for a moment. You're sifting through an old box of coins, and suddenly a wheat penny catches your eye. At first, it looks simple, but when you turn it over and notice the date 1937 with no mint mark, your heart skips a beat. What if I told you that this ordinary-looking coin could carry a value that shocks even seasoned collectors, and in pristine condition it has sold for thousands of dollars at auction? Stay with me, because this little copper coin from the late 1930s is one you don't want to overlook. The year 1937 was a fascinating time in American history. The country was still climbing out of the Great Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt was president, and the Lincoln wheat penny was already a familiar part of daily life. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark, struck tens of millions of these copper cents, but not all survived the test of time in good condition. Decades of circulation wore most of them down, leaving only a small number of high-grade examples that today are worth far more than face value. What makes the 1937 no-mint mark wheat penny unique is its clean and simple appearance. On the obverse, you see Abraham Lincoln's portrait along with the date 1937, but no mint mark under the date because it was struck in Philadelphia. On the reverse, you find the classic wheat ears design that gave this series its famous nickname, the Wheat Penny. While the design itself isn't unusual, what truly sets this coin apart is the combination of its age, its copper composition, and the demand for pristine survivors among collectors today. Rarity is all about condition, and the 1937 no-mint mark penny proves it. A coin that spent decades in circulation is worth only a few cents to a couple of dollars, but when you discover one that has been preserved in mint state with full original red luster, the value skyrockets. Collectors are constantly on the hunt for these high-grade pieces because they know the supply is extremely limited. The demand for wheat pennies in excellent condition continues to climb, and the 1937 is a prime example that shows just how much difference quality makes. Now let's talk about the market value that makes jaws drop. In 2006, Heritage Auctions sold a magnificent 1937 no-mint mark Lincoln Cent graded MS68 red by PCGS for over $7,000. More recently, in 2019, Stack's Bowers featured another gem red example that sold for over $6,500. These are not rumors. These are real sales backed by major auction houses. Imagine holding a 1-cent coin in your hand and knowing it has the power to sell for more than a luxury vacation or even a used car. So what should you look for if you're hunting for this coin? Start by checking every wheat penny from the 1930s carefully. Look at the date 1937, and if there is no mint mark, you've got the Philadelphia issue. Next, examine the color. Coins with bright red luster are the most desirable and bring the highest prices. Even brown or red-brown examples can carry good value if they're in sharp condition with little wear. Always use a magnifying glass and good lighting so you don't miss the details that separate a valuable coin from an average one. Collectors today are showing strong demand for 1930s wheat pennies, and the 1937 no-mint mark is right in that sweet spot of age, history, and collectability. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers see steady bidding wars when high-grade pieces appear, and prices continue to impress. The lesson here is clear: never underestimate a coin just because it looks ordinary. The thrill of finding one in beautiful condition is what keeps collectors searching and fuels the excitement of the hobby. If you're starting your own coin hunt, my advice is simple. Never pass by a wheat penny without a closer look. Keep an eye out for original luster, sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard, and clean fields without scratches. Store your finds carefully to preserve their condition, and consider having your best examples graded by PCGS or NGC so that collectors and buyers can fully trust their authenticity and quality. These small steps can turn pocket change into serious value. The 1937 wheat penny with no mint mark is more than just an old coin. It's a piece of American history that tells the story of resilience during the late Depression era. It shows how something as small as a copper cent can survive through generations and turn into a treasure worth thousands of dollars today. The next time you see a wheat penny, don't brush it off. It might be the key to your own discovery of hidden wealth. Thanks a lot for watching and being part of this journey into rare coins. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy seeing the real auction values. Leave a comment if you've ever found a wheat penny or have questions about coin collecting, and subscribe so you don't miss the next incredible discovery we bring to light. Number 5. Imagine holding a single penny that doesn't just buy you anything at the store, but instead carries the weight of history and the potential to sell for thousands of dollars at auction. That's the story of the 1941 wheat penny with the D mint mark, a coin from the early days of World War II that has become a must-have for serious collectors. At first glance, it looks like any other copper wheat penny, but under the right conditions, this coin transforms into a true treasure of American numismatics. The year 1941 was a turning point for the world and for U.S. coinage. While America had not yet entered World War II, the world was already changing, and the Denver Mint was busy producing millions of wheat cents for circulation. This was the very first year that the Denver Mint struck over 40 million Lincoln wheat pennies, And while that number sounds large, the survival of high-grade pieces more than 80 years later is extremely limited. That is what gives the 1941D its special place in collector demand. When we look at the unique features of the 1941D wheat penny, the details are both simple and powerful. On the obverse, you see Abraham Lincoln's classic portrait, with the date 1941 beneath it, and a bold D mint mark just under the year. The reverse displays the iconic two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum above. Its copper composition gives it that warm red-brown tone, but when you find one preserved in full red luster, the beauty is simply breathtaking. Rarity is all about condition, and with the 1941D, the difference between a common find and a rare treasure comes down to how well it was preserved. Millions circulated heavily during the 1940s and 50s, which means most are found today in worn, brown condition worth only a few cents. But a coin that escaped circulation and remained untouched with blazing red luster can reach the highest levels of desirability. Collectors pay extraordinary premiums for top-graded pieces certified by PCGS or NGC, and those gems are the true stars of the marketplace. Now let's talk about the jaw-dropping market value that makes this coin unforgettable. In January 2006, Heritage Auctions sold a remarkable 1941D Lincoln Cent graded MS68 red by PCGS for an incredible $5,700. Even more recently, Stack's Bowers presented another gem example that brought over $4,000 in spirited bidding. These prices prove that while an ordinary worn penny might not be valuable, the rarest high-grade survivors can reach thousands of dollars, shocking anyone who once thought of it as just pocket change. So what should you be looking for when hunting a 1941D penny? First, check for that all-important D mint mark beneath the date. Next, study the coin's color. Red coins with bright original luster bring the highest values, followed by red-brown and then brown examples. Use a magnifying glass to inspect Lincoln's hair details and the wheat stalks on the reverse, because sharp details signal less wear and higher value. And always handle your coin carefully. One scratch can mean the difference between $100 and several thousand. Collectors today are competing fiercely for top examples of the 1941D wheat penny. The coin is a popular choice because it's from the early 1940s, a beloved era of U.S. history, and it represents the artistry of Victor David Brenner's original design. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers regularly feature these coins in their catalogs, and bidding wars erupt when an MS68 red example hits the block. Demand continues to rise, and coins in the finest condition are only getting more valuable as time goes on. If you're a coin hunter, here's my advice. Never dismiss a wheat penny just because it looks old and common. Check the date, check the mint mark, and examine the condition closely. Store your best finds in protective holders to prevent damage, and if you believe you've discovered a gem, consider submitting it to PCGS or NGC for grading. Certification adds both trust and higher value. And most importantly, enjoy the thrill of the hunt, because every collector's story begins with a single exciting find. The 1941D wheat penny is more than just a cent, it's a time capsule from the early 1940s, a piece of American history, and a coin that proves value is not about face value, but about rarity, condition, and demand. From ordinary pocket change to thousands of dollars at auction, this coin reminds us why coin collecting is one of the most rewarding hobbies in the world. Thanks a lot for watching and being part of this coin hunting adventure. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy real auction values. Leave a comment if you've ever found a wheat penny or have questions about coin collecting, and subscribe so you don't miss the next amazing treasure we reveal.